think the prominent question everybody has is, what's this about the stick?
The stick. What do you mean? What's the
Habs
stick?
about the stick. You're like, hey, did you tell him about the stick?
Oh, you'll have to ask him about that. I can't give you anything. I can't give you anything. I mean, you see him shoot the puck on his goal tonight? Ask him about the stick.
So that said, 3 in a row. It's the first time in club history. How do you sort of look at something like this? Because, like, in the overall sense, it's something that hasn't happened. It's a big deal, but also it's been some of the most consistent hockey you've been having. So, like, how do you sort of view a night like this?
Guys are just working hard, and guys are working hard especially in this building. In front of the the fans that have been here through thick and thin over the last 6-7 months. Guys are working hard. They're working together. A night like tonight, we got off to the start that we needed. To be able to play with the lead is really important against Colorado, and we were able to do that. So, little pieces of the game, critical times of the game. Different guys stepped up and did a good job. That's what collectively leads to a good win.
They had a great start tonight, but it never felt like you guys just sat back when you were through.
That's what we talked this morning. Just about you have to stay on top of this group, and they've got some key guys out of the lineup. But I mean that's part of it. But they can still go, and that's part of it, regardless of the score. It's not a matter of sitting back. If you don't stay on your toes and stay on top of that group, once they get going, it's really hard to push them out of the middle of the rink, and it's really hard to shut them down on entry, let alone what they can do in the offensive zone.
The team hung around and shook hands with Von Rody at the end of the game there. How much of a relationship do you have with a guy like that who's been around the game?
I just think he's obviously he's very good at what he does, but it's more importantly for me just the way he goes about it. He's first class. He's one of the guys that's there's always a time in the game when you have an opportunity to to say hello, and I've got a ton of respect for him and the way he does his job. Not an easy job. But he handles those. It comes down to those little pressure situations, and he's obviously as a veteran linesman, he handles those situations extremely well. I believe he communicates really well, and hopefully a special night for him and his family.
You put Cole Lind back in the lineup tonight. He scores first 2 minutes. What did you think about his game back?
I thought he was going to score in the first minute. No, that was a great way for great way for him to get off to a good start. It was a little bit of a broken play, but by him it was just building speed and pushing on possession, and being able to finish that. So it was a great way for him to be able to start the game. But his two-way game was good. He played a good, confident game. Rask, Wenny and himself had a number of good chances. And they played a good 200-foot game. So I was happy with the way he came back in the lineup, and the simplicity that he played with, the hardness that he played with, and the fact that he was a reliable guy out there.
Dave, you got to feel good about Groovy getting the win tonight. And, he mentioned at the end of the game there that everybody was doing whatever they could to disrupt the lanes and keep that victory for him.
Yeah. He did a really good job tonight. If you look at some of the little points in this game, number one, when you go to the PK, and they only had 2 power plays, but this team knows what they're doing on the power play, so it starts there. He's got to be our best guy, and I thought our PK overall was really good tonight against a good power play, and that starts with him. Real solid performance. The guys in front of him played hard and did their part, but for sure tonight he did his part, and it's nice to see him be able to get that win against his former team.
It's not the first time this season you guys have really shut down one of the more elite offensive talents in the league. What did you do tonight to be so successful?
Well, I don't know if I guess kept them for the most part off the scoreboard. I mean, you just don't shut those guys down. I mean, you've got to work hard, stay above, check out of the middle, and if you saw a few times, when McKinnon or Makar, those guys get some speed and get going up ice. it starts with our first and second layers. They did a really good job. Our forwards did a good job tonight, about as well as, I would have hoped we could do in terms of deflecting and pushing some of that speed outside. By the time it gets to our blue line now, our D have an opportunity to know where it's going and be able to swing on it and be able to, shut down some of those plays. But it starts up ice with your really F1, 2, and 3. Pushing plays out of the middle of the rink against those guys. If you give them middle entry, if you give them speed on entry with numbers, they tear you apart.
One of the narratives in the first half of the season was that you guys were finding ways to lose close games, and it feels like that's turned a lot. Second half, is there any one thing you can point to as more?
Well, you got to do it together. It's hard to do, right? It's hard to do, and you have to have a trust, through every layer of what you're doing, and we're seeing a lot of that right now. Guys are really guys are doing a good job together, and that's simply the players, knowing how they want to do it and going out and playing well together and playing hard together. So it's not a mystery. Like, it's hard to win in this league if you have a new group that's a little bit unsure. That's all it takes. And all of a sudden, a small crack turns into, a pretty large chasm. So, right now, there's not a whole lot of cracks there. Guys are working hard. Guys are in sync. Guys are trusting each other, and they're probably the biggest thing, playing pretty hard for one another. That's a nice foundation to have. And again, I'll just add to it. First thing I said, I think our guys are playing really hard for the people that are here every night for us. It's a pretty good atmosphere out there.
Building off that, the team's been out of the playoffs for a bit. But how important is it to finish this season strong going into next season and have that in the back of your mind that you can have it going?
Yeah, I haven't even really. We haven't talked at all about what it means for next year. This is about what we're doing now, and that's what we have to take care of. We've talked a lot about continuing to be competitive. Probably 3 or 4 weeks ago here, I said it hurts and it's hard when you're not playing real meaningful games at this time in terms of the standings. Yet we have to find our own meaning, individually, collectively, and our players, to their credit, have done a really good job of that.
Thanks, Dave.
Good.
Thanks.